Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Allie Clifton, joined by the Hall of Famer, big game James Worthy, five-time champ Derek Fisher, our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan. And guys, a tough one for the Lakers, whom find themselves at 500 yet again on the season, 21-21. And there's a lot of ways that you can look at this. Many will point to that third quarter alone, outscored 40-23 by 17 in that frame. But a theme that kind of created itself. A 4-0 run to close out the first, an 8-0 run to close out the second, a 5-0 run to close out the third. You saw the way in which the Kings finished the game. A reflection of attention to detail, execution when it mattered most. Fish, the Kings earned this one. They got the job done, avoided their sixth straight loss.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking in the break room about finishing quarters and how important that is. And, you know, with the numbers you just broke down, I mean, 4, 8, 5, you know, pretty decent math student, that's 17-0 in about 6 minutes. And so it's not good enough at this level to play good and or decent basketball for 10 minutes and lose the last 2 minutes in that way. You wouldn't expect the younger, inexperienced team to finish quarters better and stronger than an experienced team like the Lakers. But as you said, the Kings did it tonight. They earned the win. No excuses. Got to tip your cap.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you think that, you know, you're ahead going into halftime is a good thing. But sometimes when you lose that momentum war, in which the Lakers did, and it seems like this is a broken record that we talk about in a lot of their games. Yeah, they had a 6-point lead, but they lost the momentum war and the battle, and Sacramento won that. So going into halftime, only down 6, when they probably thought they should have been down maybe 12 or 14, that yielded them that 40-23, you know, third quarter where they came out and they had that momentum. The Lakers did not pay attention to details. It's the defense, you know, points in the paint.
70.
Yeah,
70
points in the paint. You know, and the fast break points as well. You know, it's just it's not a good formula. You know, we've been talking about how things they need to improve on, and they'll improve a little bit against poor teams, but then when these numbers and this type of habit continues over and over, that's something that's they haven't taken care of yet. It's surprisingly not taken care of.
Yeah, James, you talk about over and over. You know, the Lakers have run into this before. Okay, they have 2 losses to OKC. They lost in a triple OT game to Sacramento already. They lost to Memphis last month with no Ja Morant or Dylan Brooks playing for the Grizzlies. That's 5 games where the Lakers were pretty heavily favored that they've lost. So what do you have? A team that's now 21-21. And they don't have many of these games left. That's the problem. They're going to be in Denver in a couple days. They come back here and they play Utah. Next weekend, they start the 6-game Grammy trip. That's going to take them through Philly, Brooklyn. They got Charlotte, a very up-and-coming team. Miami. I mean, they have some tough games coming up. And you feel like when they play a team like Sacramento, they fired the coach a month or so ago. They have all these young guys. They don't really know who's going to be there next season. The Lakers need to hang on to a 14-point lead against a team like this. James, Fish, Allie, we've seen this pattern a lot this season. The Lakers lose yet again to a team that will not make the playoffs.
Losing, like you would say, Brez, winnable games. And guys, You think about that 4-game winning streak that they were on. You heard LeBron say up until that Grizzlies loss, things felt really good with the squad. They started to turn that corner. And then you now drop back-to-back games. What is the message? Because despite that of Anthony Davis, who is a big piece, let's not mistake, and obviously Carmelo Anthony, who misses tonight with the back tightness, performances like this are unacceptable when you're heading into the second part of the season and you're trying to trend in a direction that puts you in a good position.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And I think, you know, anything else that maybe some of the guys are trying to tell themselves is just excuses for the most part. I think we all respect and at least try to the injuries, COVID, health and safety protocols, the lack of maybe consistency and familiarity with the group. But none of those things absolve you of maximum effort, multiple efforts, proper angles on closeout, communicating on pick and rolls, willing to go and close out to a guy, even if you're not going to get there. You know, the timeouts that Frank Vogel has to burn stop the other team from getting a layup. So those are all things that can be corrected regardless of how many guys dress out for the Lakers, right? And so to me, that's where it all starts. Like, throw out all of we haven't gotten a chance to play with all our guys, and we're trying to figure out that you can figure out effort. You can figure out communication. You can figure out, you know, sprinting back on defense as hard as you sprint down on offense. Like, those are all things that don't matter what the name is on the back of the jersey. They have to get back to those things. And then, you know, some of the nuances and details and adjustments, that can all be done. But without setting the table of effort, discipline, consistency, communication, you have no chance. And there's too many nights, that's what they're not putting out consistently.
And I know we put that number out there, the points in the paint, 70-42, outscored by 28 big game. You outscore them from deep by 15. Obviously, there's going to be a difference there. But you talk about the communication, the effort, the inability to stop the dribble penetration, and no real consistent rim protection. That has to be better.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team that has, you know, dove right to the bottom defensively. I mean, just 2 years ago, I think we were the best team in the league. Of course, we lost some missing pieces, but there's no excuses for, like Fish said, I mean, effort is, you can't teach that. That's something that's just natural. And to not be able to, one, stop the perimeter guys from getting in the paint, on your rotations, you know, you have to take care of that. I mean, you just have to. It's just a record that's broken, that we're seeing it over and over. And it's, you know, it's the players that are going to have to decide to do it. The coach can only show you so much video, preach to you so much. The players are going to have to decide. Yeah, they do need Dwight Howard in there sometime a little bit. AD is missing as a rim protector, but there's a lot of things we're seeing that, you know, that could be avoided without those players.
And it's the challenge of a lot of new guys, too, right? Like, when you have this many new players and then they've added players in the middle of the season, which a lot of teams have had to do, calling guys up from G League, et cetera, 10-day contracts. Like, some of the things that we're demanding, asking of them, hoping to see, they are harder to bring forth when everybody is new. You very rarely see teams winning championship trophies that have never played together before.
Yeah.
You know, so to some degree, yes, it takes time to become a champion and become great, but that has to start with maximum effort every night.
I agree with you there, but I go to your guy that you picked tonight, Reeves, maximum effort.
Yeah.
Every play.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's what they need as a group. Maybe even when he's making mistakes, his effort is there. So you just got to get to that. Talent's not going to, you know, having the Lakers on the front of the jersey, that's not going to yield you any wins. Not now, not in today's game, because teams are figuring you out. They know that the Lakers will, you know, let you get back in the game. When you start getting that reputation, you know, a lot of times teams will quit on you when you get a lead. Now they feel like they can, you know, Lakers going to let you back in at some point. That's not a good reputation to have.
Yeah, no, basketball's a funny game. And if your heart isn't pure, if you get with like the right intentions, it'll treat you bad.
It'll show you. Yeah. Just as they say, if you give to the game will give back to you. Which, before we get to the highlight, that is a silver lining, and you got to give credit where credit is due. And Austin Reeves deserves a lot of credit for what he did tonight. A career high 19 points, 4 of 7 from deep, 7 of 10. But it's even outside the numbers, as you guys mentioned, the hustle, the heart, the consistency, just playing the game, Brez, the right way. Yeah,
this guy obviously undrafted just a few short months ago. He probably had no idea where his career was going to go. So what did he do? He signed up to play summer ball in Vegas, kind of plucked by the Lakers from there. He's doing great stuff, and it started in the fourth quarter of last game. Lakers down, 29 in the third quarter to Memphis, and Austin scores 11 in the fourth. He and Wayne Ellington kind of single-handedly bring the Lakers back. Memphis has to throw their starters back into the game with a couple minutes left. But you know, I think we have to go back to the small ball. And I really like watching it on offense. The ball moves, everyone seems to get into the flow, but defensively, I just don't know if it's working right now. I mean Memphis, 80 points in the middle 2 quarters just a few days ago. And again tonight, you already mentioned that 40-point third quarter at the